the 2018 Rumble looks like it's going to be another edition where there could be some controversy coming out of it. Part of the reason I'm doing a live stream is because I anticipate it. I think I know where this is going, and I'm not sure I necessarily like it, but I am going to a WWE event in Vancouver next month, and WWE events are usually fun. Live, they're fantastic. Even if on TV the whole thing is just this is crap. Live, it's great. So it's fantastic live. I highly recommend it. Um, this is the card. It's a long card, and there are a few matches that are going to be on the pre-show. But I'm gonna go through this and just we'll discuss what is and isn't necessarily going to happen for this event. Um, Kalisto, Dorado, Metalik against TJP, Gallagher, Gulak. I anticipate TJP winning. The real losers in this, though, can we get some cruiserweights interacting with somebody who's not a cruiserweight? Because part of what sunk WCW is taking all your cruiserweights, sticking them in one spot, and saying, you guys are here, this is your spot, and you don't get to go anywhere else. You can't tell me they're getting big paydays. You can't tell me that in relative terms that they're necessarily giving money to the best guys right now. It seems like you've got all the big muscular guys who are main eventers, and all the small guys are on 205, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of interaction between the two unless you want to squash one of the little guys to the big guys. Again, WCW did this for years. Part of what turned the tide in favor of WWE was that they took guys like Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, and Dean Malenko, guys who were stuck in a cruiserweight, and they made them credible in the ring against bigger guys. Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest champions they ever had, not a big guy, and yet somehow made it work. I do think they do themselves a bit of a disservice by sticking all of these guys in these schmoz matches like this. Because for people who don't watch 205 Live, for people who don't have the network, this is a throwaway match. And these guys, all six of them, are very talented, and they should be further up the card. They should be given an opportunity to show how talented they are. Bobby Roode Open Challenge. So, everybody's going to expect one guy, and that's Dolph Ziggler. And if I had to pick a winner right now, I'd say Dolph Ziggler's going to answer the Open Challenge, and he's going to win the title somehow. And they'll set up a feud between them at WrestleMania. It's not going to make any sense if they do this, which is why I'm kind of betting on it. Ziggler walked away from that belt in the middle of the ring, but I haven't heard anything official about him being released. And while people are talking about, what about Ziggler's career after WWE, I haven't heard anything official about him being released. And on TV, they're still talking about Dolph walking away from the belt, which means that Dolph has not been released yet. Because when a guy's released, he ceases to exist in the eyes of commentators. That's just the way it works. Dolph Ziggler likely beats Bobby Roode because it'll continue the feud right up until Mania. Or at the very least, Ziggler comes out, answers the challenge, some kind of a schmoz happens. Ziggler says it's my belt because I never lost it. And Bobby Roode says you walked away from it. And I think this feud being drawn out is I think a detriment to Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode, I think, should be interacting with a lot of guys. And again, they're funneling guys into feuds for longer periods. And while we enjoy that, we also enjoy seeing them interact with a lot of other people. Now, you'll notice that this could be the Maharaja could answer it. We could see Jinder Mahal come out and challenge him, and Jinder Mahal have a big match with Roode, and Roode end up retaining the title, and then Dolph Ziggler comes out and attacks him. I could see that happening. Just for me, Dolph Ziggler's going to get involved. Gallows and Anderson versus the Revival. I think Gallows and Anderson are probably going to win this match, and it's a shame. The Revival and NXT, to me, were the most impressive tag team I've seen in probably a decade. And I was terrified. I thought, don't send these guys to the main roster. They're not very big. They don't have a look that's conducive to Vince McMahon saying, I can make money off those guys. And while I know they get a bigger payday on the main roster, I felt bad for them leaving NXT because they looked so badass in NXT and they were made to be so awesome. Even though their music's kind of odd. Their entrance music is kind of odd. If you listen to the music, it's kind of it almost sounds like it should be sang by the Village People. Listen to the lyrics And then think about the Village people singing it, and it just changes the whole. Yeah, they could definitely use new entrance music, something that's more instrumental and less odd. Gallows and Anderson, on the other hand, they're really trying to build up Balor Club. I get the bad feeling they're building up Balor Club just to knock them down. That it'll be Shield runs them over or something like that. But I like Gallows and Anderson. I think they've been kind of saddled with not having a gimmick, and I think that Luke Gallows is a good talker. He doesn't get enough mic time. And this nerd thing, is that getting over? Because to me, it's kind of just odd calling people nerds. I'm like, is the '80s back? But the Revival should win this match, which is why I think Gallows and Anderson will win it. I think they're building Gallows and Anderson up to maybe win another tag team title, go another run, possibly with them and the Shield getting into it. The Women's Rumble. So I'm gonna get this out of the way. I think Asuka wins it because Asuka is the one they're building up as the one that Alexa Bliss is afraid of. But what's interesting to me is the idea, and this is out there. I've seen people talking about this, and it makes some sense. Would be Becky Lynch winning the first one. Becky Lynch has paid her dues. Becky has been fantastic for a very, very, very long time. Becky Lynch is this amazing talent in the ring, and her arm drag is probably the best arm drag in wrestling, and I've even heard Mick Foley say it. But the other name that's out there, and I'd be remiss not to mention it, because it is out there, and if she comes in, she'll win it, and that's Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's career as a UFC fighter is over. Men can get their faces busted a few times and still go out and sell deodorant. They can still go out and sell cars. They can still go out and be celebrities and spokespersons. A woman can't. Ronda Rousey may not be a classic model beauty, but she's a good-looking girl. And good-looking woman. If she finds out I called her a girl, she'll beat me up. But Ronda Rousey's gone through a couple of setbacks in UFC, and I am sure she is aware that she's one more punch, one more broken nose away from possibly having to have some kind of a reconstructive surgery. And it also makes her less marketable when she takes these losses. Now, if she goes into wrestling and she dominates it, she can be, a big mainstream star again, and it can work out really well for her. So one of these three probably wins it. But what I like with the Women's Rumble is it's really unpredictable. Asuka, to me, is the hands down favorite. She likely does win it, but I don't know. Rollins and Jordan versus The Bar is far more entertaining than it has any right to be, which is why I think Rollins and Jordan will retain. Jason Jordan's storyline with Kurt Angle is awkward. Let's just call it what it is. It's awkward. It's awkward and it's weird. But Jason Jordan's I'm hurt, I'm out of the match is hilarious. His cowardly heel turn, without really being a heel in the ring, but he kind of is. It's been fun. And in the light of the injury to Dean Ambrose, which sidelined the whole Shield reunion, Jason Jordan's really stepped in, and he's been a breath of fresh air for the entire thing. It's fun. They can only play it for so long before he's just a joke. You can only play it for so long until you're the next Santino, the next Eugene. Eventually, playing it for laughs and being a coward or not looking strong enough is going to cause you to get pushed completely down the card. Jason Jordan has a lot of talent. And part of the reason I don't like the Kurt Angle storyline is, while it does kind of put him in the main event picture, it weakens him in some ways. And hopefully we can emerge from this and look back and say, man, he overcame it. Because Jason Jordan has talent in the ring and could be a future WWE champion. And I mean that. Future WWE champion. And he could use this I'm hurt, no I'm not to do it. Tonight, Sheamus and Cesaro, if they lose, I wouldn't be surprised if the bar breaks up and one of them turns face by the other one turning heel, and we see Sheamus versus Cesaro at Mania. And I'd be okay with that. I have for years wanted to see Cesaro move up the card. I have for years said Antonio Cesaro is one of the most talented wrestlers in a ring. And when I hear things like, well, Vince doesn't think he gets over with the crowd, Vince doesn't think this, Vince doesn't think that, he's not paying attention then because the guy's over. When he does the airplane spin, everybody pays attention and counts him off. Now, of course, he doesn't do them anymore because he's a heel, but he's going to start again. And I really think if they have Sheamus turn against Cesaro somehow falls for something that Jason Jordan does tonight. Seth Rollins wins with a roll up. You could see them break up. Sheamus is heel, Cesaro's face, and at Mania let them blow the roof off the place. Give them a great match. AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Obviously, AJ's going to retain. I can't see them giving the title to either Owens or Zayn, but I could see Owens and Zayn possibly turning against each other. It's so early. It's so early in this whole storyline for them to turn against each other, but you could sow the seeds here. Because it's a handicap match, I'm 99% certain that AJ's going to retain. The odds are against him. It's the old, the Superman routine that they do. They do it with John Cena, of course. They do it with Roman Reigns. They do it with Brock Lesnar. Oh, he's up against the odds. He can't win this time, and then he does. He's Superman. And it aggravates fans, and it may aggravate fans when AJ does it too. But we love AJ enough that we can forgive it. I just wonder if AJ beats Owens and Zayn, and if he beats them clean somehow in a handicap match, does that weaken Owens and Zayn going forward? Like Sami Zayn has kind of been built up by this turn. This heel turn was desperately needed by Sami Zayn. Let's be honest, we all love Sami Zayn, but whenever you hear his music, you go, well, he's losing. And now that he's turned, you don't really know. They may end up going back to that where he's just losing all the time. But having him and Owens together is fantastic because they're best friends in real life. And Zayn plays the heel very, very well. He plays that aggravating, kind of a cowardly kind of heel. Doesn't fake injuries like Jason Jordan. Nobody does. But, he's very good at what he does as both heel or face. Owens works as a heel. Now, I could see Owens at some point being a Stone Cold type tweener if they'd ever allow that again. Everybody wanted me to talk about Raw 25, so I'll just mention it briefly here. Raw 25 was a disappointment because we wanted the old days back. People are always disappointed because they want the old days back. It's like we want the wrestling the way it used to be. It's not going back to that. It's not going to happen. So they bring these guys out. They sterilize and sanitize their old routines. They water it down. They make it's a showcase. Like, hey, look, they're here, and then they're gone. That's kind of what happens, and it's disappointing to see DX kind of whatever. And they had a bit with Balor Club, but I want to call them Bullet Club. See, it throws me because they're Bullet Club, and WWE selling them as Balor Club, which makes it like Gallows and Anderson are fans of Finn Balor, which is not the way Bullet Club works at all. But I don't expect a lot from these retrospective, let's look back and talk about the vintage days, because they really don't work. The disaster was that they set up a card at the old arena where they had it the first time, the little, like, basically like a bingo hall type atmosphere, referencing ECW. And that was a bad idea because you've got Jerry Lawler, and Jim Ross. We all want to see them call Raw. The way that it was described, and just in passing, I thought, oh, they're going to call the show Raw. That'll be fun. Nah, it was a showcase. It was off to the side, and there wasn't a lot that happened there. I don't know what fans there expected, but it was a bad idea to have it as the go home show for Rumble as well. It did a horrible job building up the Rumble. 2 out of 3 falls. The Usos versus Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. This could be match of the night. And I'm going to go with the Usos only because the Usos have done this fantastic job of building themselves as this great team. And what's funny is they turned heel. And now they're getting cheered more when they were face. And this happens. When your characters are bad guys, you're able to just say, you know what, we don't have to play to the crowd, so we can just be ourselves. It happened with New Day as well. New Day went from just all happy and dancing to adding some character in there and making it more of a fun atmosphere. And fans bought into it. So even though they were cheering for Rusev and cheering for whoever, we bought into what they were selling because they were being themselves. They were having fun. They were relaxed. The Usos have been that. And while I love Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable together, to me, there's kind of a feeling like, okay, well, Shelton Benjamin's a replacement for Jason Jordan because they're both the same color. And I hate to say that, but there's also the Shelton Benjamin was in the world's greatest tag team. But all this kind of does for me is make me wish that Gable was together with Jordan and that the world's greatest tag team would get put back together and they'd go against each other. It's the feud that we wanted. As soon as we saw Jordan and Gable together, we're like, hey, it's the world's greatest tag team part two. And putting them together with Kurt Angle was natural, but the way they've done it with Jordan and the kid thing is just awkward. Weird. This brings me to the who cares. Brock versus Braun versus Kane. Brock's going to win it because Brock's going to win it. Um, so they've been building Braun up as a murderer and as a violent offender, and I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting to have your face trying to murder people. Um, it's some odd booking. Uh, he's pulling down giant backdrops and scaffolding, and he's throwing people around in the back while the cameraman's just standing there watching him do it, and there's no security coming out to get him. And every now and then you'll hear somebody off camera, no, Braun, no, and it's like he's running around like Jason Voorhees in the back and talk about getting hands, and it's awkward how he talks, and it's just weird. And then him and Kane were trying to kill each other and put each other in garbage trucks, and now they're talking about being buddies so they can get rid of Brock, which doesn't even make any sense because it's a triple threat match. So if they get rid of Brock, whoever gets rid of Brock first wins the title, meaning you can't allow that. It's baffling. Kane's there to take the fall. The only reason Kane, to me, is in this match is because nobody has taken falls more than Kane as a main event slash partial main events talent. And we all want to see Kane get one last run with the title. I can't see it happening. Um, Brock wins, and it sets up the winner between him and the Men's Rumble. And I'm just going to get this out of the way now because I'm not happy about this. To me, this started on Monday Night Raw. When The Miz beat Roman Reigns, I died a little inside. So The Miz wins the Intercontinental title. He deserves the Intercontinental title. He's one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time. The Miz really deserves a main event push because everybody's aggravated with him again, and everybody dislikes him, and you're supposed to. Roman Reigns, he's more over right now than he has been in a while, but I'm telling you, if he wins this Rumble, the crowd's going to turn on him again. And I think that's where they're going. The interesting thing, of course, with the two Rumbles is there's going to be some interesting people coming in. The women's Rumble's got a lot of open spots for people to come in that we're not even knowing is in the match or in the match yet. I don't see anybody but Roman Reigns winning the Rumble. Now, there is the fandom out there that want to see Shinsuke Nakamura win it. And I will lose my mind if Shinsuke Nakamura wins it. My problem with it is this. When we went and saw wrestling in Abbotsford a few months ago, Shinsuke Nakamura jobbed clean to Jinder Mahal. And they didn't... Shinsuke was fun, and then after the match, because it was the main event, of course, he got some revenge on Jinder, and he's standing in the middle of the ring, and his music plays to end the show. But Shinsuke, to me, it feels like, while he's a main eventer, and most fans will agree on that, it feels to me like WWE themselves aren't sold on it. That they're not sold on Shinsuke Nakamura as a main event talent. That they threw him into that world title spot, where he gets that title shot at Jinder, and to me it doesn't feel like he's getting into that again. It would set up a match between him and AJ Styles at Mania, which would be awesome. Absolutely amazing, awesome to have those two against each other. But I really think they're building up Roman Reigns again. The rumor for months, for basically a year, has been WWE is building towards Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania again. They didn't learn from the first time. The first time they had to throw Seth Rollins in there, so we would all forget that people were booing the match the whole time, no matter who was winning. I think people would go crazy cheering for Brock in this match this time around. But again, Brock throws a bunch of suplexes. He doesn't really have the varied moveset that he used to have. I swear he used to do other moves. And they're like, got to count the suplexes, 18, 19, 20 German suplexes. And it's like, yeah, it's the same move. It's the same match. Every match Brock has is the same. Then you throw him in there with Roman, and I think Roman has a decent move set, but because of the way WWE scripts their matches, they want your signature moves to be what everybody remembers. So he's got the Superman punch, he's got the spear, and he's got a couple other big moves, and that's where they want it. John Cena, they always talk about the 5 moves of doom, 3 moves of doom, however many. That's how WWE wants the matches to be. They want the setup, 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 finisher. They want it to look the same. This is just how they do it. As for purist wrestling fans over the last 30, however many years I've watched, we always want varied endings. We want surprise endings. We want endings out of nowhere. We don't necessarily want a guy to use the same moves every match, but WWE really hammers this home. And I know it's a WWE directive because all of the wrestlers do it. All of them have certain moves, and they just drill those into our heads. And so to me, a match between Roman and Brock at Mania becomes suplex, Superman punch, suplex, Superman punch. He kicked out of the Superman punch. He kicked out of the spear. He did 8 German suplexes, and Roman kicked out. And to me, it just sounds awful. But you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section below. I realize this is going to post very shortly before the actual Rumble. I just wanted my predictions to be up before the Rumble starts. I know there's other last-minute matches they'll probably add, or they might have already added, or there might already be other things going on, but this is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And remember, there will be a live stream of the Women's Rumble. That's my plan. And a live stream of the Men's Rumble after. I want to split them up because they're 2 completely different matches. I'm very excited about the Women's Rumble. I am kind of terrified of the Men's Rumble. There have been numerous Rumbles over the last decade that have ended with the crowd just booing the hell out of it. And this event is being held in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, where fans reserve the right to boo all the time. Let me know what you guys think, and thanks for watching.